What's cooking good looking? Today we are going to discuss about how to learn the German language in a proper way and what are the scopes after learning the German language. We have Miss Prachi Sharma with us. She is teaching German language since 1981. She was working with Goethe Institute, Max Muller Bhavan, Chennai, Delhi, Mumbai. She was head of the department for 2 years at Chennai location. She is now working as a professor at Mumbai University, and also she works as a freelancer to teach to many corporate institutes. Welcome Prachi Sharma ma'am to my show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sagar. It's a pleasure to be in your talk show. Thank you very much for inviting me.
First of all, I want to ask you how you started your journey of learning German language and teaching German language.
Oh, this is really an interesting question to start with. Well, when I was in school, I was a science student, and by the time I finished school, I knew that science was not my cup of tea. Actually, I wanted to do something entirely different, something very new. So I did a lot of research work regarding different options of career, and I was in Delhi at that time. I'm actually from Delhi, born and brought up in Delhi. And I got to know about the School of Languages in JNU. So I went to JNU and I joined the German department. I started learning the language. And why German? Because I had read a lot about German history and had seen a lot of films. And also I knew that I had read a lot about Germans, how punctual they are, how focused they are in whatever they do, and how hardworking they are. So I was always very fascinated by their history and by their culture. So I decided to learn German. So I did a 5 years integrated course of German language and literature in JNU. And after finishing my post-graduation, I thought maybe I'll go in for MPhil. But luckily, and I must really say luckily, my professors suggested me to go in for teaching straight away. Actually, in the post-graduation course, there is a subject of didactics in which we are trained to teach the language, and we teach and our professors observe us. And somehow my professors knew, and they advised me to go in for teaching straight away. So I went to Max Muller Bhavan, the Goethe Institute of New Delhi, and met up with the director and started with my teacher's training course at Max Muller Bhavan. And after that, there was no looking back.
Your journey is quite interesting. It seems you have enjoyed all the phases. What you will say, what is the benefit or what is the importance of learning any foreign language?
So in a world which is shrinking nowadays, we come across different kind of people. We come across people from different countries of the world. And so naturally we come across different cultures also. So learning a foreign language breaks all the barriers. Yeah? If we know a foreign language, and if we, supposing, I'll give an example, if I know German very well and I travel to Germany, I can relate to people very well and people can relate very well to me. And it brings, it helps us also in learning a different mindset very well. Through a language, one can learn their habits, their mindset, and definitely their culture. Much better, and life becomes much simpler if we know the language of that particular country.
Yes, one can communicate and understand each other in a better way. Besides communication and better understanding, what are the various career options after learning German?
There are numerous career options after learning German. Number one, teaching, like I'm doing. One can teach at Max Muller Bhavan, the Goethe Institute, but of course after doing the teachers training program over there. Or at the universities, again, one needs to do teachers training program. We'll talk about it. I'll talk more about it later. And one can teach in schools. One can also open one's own private institute and teach privately. Number two is translation. Number three, interpretation. Number four, very important, the hospitality industry is always in the lookout for people with very good knowledge of languages. One can get jobs in hotels, in travel agencies, in airlines, in cruise lines. Even the tourism industry is always looking for guides for their tourists who come from different countries. And the guides should have a very good knowledge of language. It really helps. If one is lucky, one can get jobs in consulates, in the embassies. Then for engineers, doctors, managers, excellent job opportunities in Germany. For students also, if one wants to go in for higher studies, especially for medicine, for engineering, for management, there are excellent career options.
So almost all sectors for job opens after learning the German language. My next question is, where one can learn the German language?
Many schools in India have started offering foreign languages. So if a child is going to a school where foreign languages are being offered, I would say one must learn at least one foreign language when one is in school. It's a big asset and it definitely adds to your CV also. One can learn language, German, one can learn in Max Bhavan, the Goethe Institute. One can learn in the universities. Different universities have German department. One can learn privately. There are many teachers who offer language teaching privately. They have their own private institutes.
So there are lots of options for learning the German language. My next question is, how long does it take to master the language?
How long does it take to master a language is an extremely interesting question. I would say it's a lifelong process to start with. But actually it depends. It depends on what is the requirement of the person. If a person is going as a tourist, just a couple of months are more than enough to learn the language, learn important expressions of everyday life, and go and enjoy yourself. If one wants to study there, now it depends. There are universities in Germany which offer courses in German, 100% German. Then one needs to master the language very well. At Max Bhavan, there are 6 different courses. One has to then do all these 6 courses if one is studying in German language. There are universities which offer the course, say 75% German and 25% English, or 50% German, 50% English, or 25% German and English. So it depends on the requirement of the person. In Max Bhavan, if one does the courses, there are 6 levels, and there are different kinds of courses. There's an intensive course, there's an extensive course. Intensive course, one can do one level within 6 or say maximum 7 weeks. So within say 9 to 10 months, one can do all the levels if one is going if one is doing only the intensive courses. If one has the time and one really wants to do it, take it slow and do the language properly, then one can do the extensive course, which can take say 2 years, depends. At the university also, there are certificate courses, there are diploma courses and advanced diploma courses. If one wants to study the language, then one can do graduation and post-graduation. That takes 5 years, which I have done and which I have already talked about. So again, I would say it all depends. If a person has his or her own business, and if the person has clients in a German-speaking country, in Germany of course, or in Austria or in Switzerland, it is good to learn at least, I would say, 3 levels of the language. With 3 levels, one is able to interact very well, and one feels very comfortable in that country.
For learning the language, time period is quite diverse depending upon one's need. Is there any teachers training, means a training for teachers how to teach the German?
For teaching German, one needs to go through the teachers training course. At Max Bhavan, one can do this course. It takes almost 1.5 to 2 years to finish this course. Even at the university level, teachers training program is offered. And I would say not only for teaching, if one wants to go in for translation interpretation, also training is needed. it is always good to do some training before one starts translating or one starts interpreting. And there are translation courses and courses for interpretation at different Max Miller Bhavans, also at the university level, at JNU. In fact, in JNU, if one wants, one can do post-graduation either in literature or in translation and interpretation. I wanted to go in for teaching, so I did my post-graduation in German language and literature. But one can also do post-graduation in translation and interpretation. So training is required.
My God, it seems like a German teaching program is quite extensive, means for the teachers. So here we have come to an end. What message you would like to give to the audience?
I would say if you want to contribute something to the society, then you must first learn the language. And I would like to quote Nelson Mandela. He said, if you talk to a man in the language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in the language that he knows, it goes to the heart. So this is the message I would like to give to all of you. Go out, explore the world, and it's fun exploring the world when you know the languages. It is fun, it is exciting, and it is 100% rewarding. Thank you.
Thank you, Prachi Sharma ma'am, for being with us. It's quite pleasure to have you in this discussion. And for the audience, if you want to learn the German language, do learn it from the authorized source or from the expert, rather than going to any YouTube video and app which is unauthorized one. It's better to learn it from the expert and the authorized channels. Thank you.